I'm always going to shoot it to you straight with no chaser. I will tell you the God honest truth. I can tell you this one thing. I may have been born at night, but I was not born last night.
There you go. There you go.
And one thing about it, you cannot fool the informed. I've been on the inside. I know the process. And we will not sit quietly and allow this to be swept under the rug.
A former black Mississippi judge just came out to speak on behalf of Nolan Wells and the family. He comes out to say he actually knows the Wells family, and he actually left Mississippi because he did not want to raise his family around all of that racism. The judge began to elaborate on how dark it is in Mississippi, and he's revealing how the judge that is out there in Mississippi is not playing by the book. There's something suspicious going on, and we're going to listen to what this black judge have to say. Check it out, y'all.
According to former judge, now attorney Carlos Moore, who served in a municipal court in Mississippi for a little over 6 years, someone should have been arrested by now for several different reasons. Moore, who would end up being pushed from the bench after previously speaking out against racial discrimination on social media while serving as a judge, would take to his Facebook page on Friday night for over 30 minutes to air out questionable behavior he sees with how local officials are handling the case.
This is Ledbetter. This was the sheriff right here, y'all.
From the inside.
It's time out for playing games. It's time to know the truth from someone well-versed in it.
Let's go.
That has actual experience. I've worn the robe, the black robe, and I've presided over these trials or preliminary hearings, arraignments, and initial appearances.
He been there and done that.
Let's get started. So what do we know? We know after watching the parents' interview and reviewing tons of footage from social media, recounting interviews and statements of alleged witnesses that were on Horn Island, we know that Nolan Wells went to spend the night on July the 3rd with his so-called friends. And he went with those so-called friends to Horn Island on a boat on July the 4th. We know that out of the 4 people on that boat, 1 did not return home. That one person was Nolan Wells. The other 3 returned home as normal and said nothing to any member of law enforcement or to the Coast Guard until at least 11 p.m. at night on July the 4th. We know that at least one of the so-called friends was found with the phone of Nolan Wells. And we know this based on the testimony of the parents, specifically the mother, who tracked the phone and was led to the home of one of the young men where she retrieved the phone. We also know that based on the mother's testimony that there were no Snapchats from the day, which was very odd for her son. We also know that text messages were deleted.
The mother stated that this is very unusual for Nolan not to post. There's so many videos show him dancing, making TikToks. That's just something that these young children do nowadays. They narrate their whole lives. So for him not to have nothing on his phone, we not going for this, y'all. We
know that when she was tracking the phone, Life 360 said the phone was one place and Snapchat said it was another place. We know that the boy that had the phone did not voluntarily turn it over or call first. He had to be found through their own investigation. We know that based on witnesses' account, the so-called friends were seen on July the 5th, that Sunday, having breakfast together like nothing had happened. They were not out there searching for their so-called friend. We know that
What do y'all think they was discussing over that breakfast? I'll wait. Nobody who is a friend of someone is just going to be casually having breakfast out somewhere. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to want to eat.
So-called friends deleted their social media, deactivated their accounts, and scrubbed it clean if the allegations are correct. We know that the young man that had the car at his house did not willingly turn over the keys. At first he said that he did not have the keys. He didn't know where they were. Then he, after being pressed by the father, he finally turned over the keys. This is all very suspicious activity. We know that based on an audio recording and some video that Nolan Wells can be heard saying, "Give me my freaking phone." Regardless, he was asking or demanding his phone. Someone had his phone who did not have permission to have his phone. So the first thing I see, the simplest thing I see, is who had his phone and why, and was that theft of the phone? Sometimes we look at the largest case, we try to get to murder, but the person that took his phone committed a crime right there. There are witnesses to who took that phone.
There you go.
If an affidavit is signed, an arrest warrant could be signed by a judge in Mississippi to go after that person that had that phone unlawfully. We know, based on his own words, Nolan Wells' words while he was alive, he did not give whoever had that phone permission to have that phone. So was that theft? I think if an affidavit is signed, if it was presented to me when I was a judge, I would have signed an arrest warrant for the person for theft of that phone, based on what I've heard. It'd have to be an affidavit format, but if it was presented to me in affidavit format from law enforcement, I would sign the arrest warrant for, at least at this point, theft of the man's phone. We know who had it. We know who didn't report it to the family. The family had to go find it, and we know that Nolan Wells said give it back to him, and evidently it was not given back to him. Why was that?
This is why you must appreciate our brothers and sisters that know the law. So when you couple what he's saying with what we reacted to yesterday, that was a law. They're tampering with evidence. Now we know if the roles was reversed, they would have Google footage if it was one of us in that situation. I'm telling you, they would have satellite footage already.
All of the other things I've stated, you piece it together. Is there enough right now for arrest warrants for murder? That is a good question. I do know at this point there should have been search warrants signed by a judge. Evidence should have been presented to a judge by now. We are nearly 7 days after July the 4th, when he was first reported missing. There should have been evidence submitted by Jackson County law enforcement agents, the sheriff's department specifically, presented to a judge so that search warrants could be signed by the judge, and there needs to be, or should have been, someone questioning the young men, the three so-called friends, and others, and their social media accounts need to be searched by now. Or at least a search warrant should have been issued for the appropriate entities to give the law enforcement access to the social media information.
That's right.
That should have been done by now.
That's right.
I'm not telling you what I imagine. I'm telling you what the process usually is when you're trying to do a thorough investigation. And based on what's revealed from a thorough investigation, I do believe once the evidence is secured, it's going to lead, and it should lead, to the arrest of one or more individuals.
That's all I need to hear. It burns me up when they wait for so long. It makes me believe that they're destroying messages that they have in their own personal phone, as well as their social media. It makes me think that they're trying to destroy pictures and everything. They probably got rid of the damn phones by now, waiting this long.
For the murder of Nolan Wells, all of the actions are very suspicious, and right now they lead one to believe that one or more persons could have been involved with the death of Nolan Wells. Right now we have a lot of unsworn testimony, but once that is put into affidavit format and there is corroborating evidence through social media, computers, or otherwise, I believe that at that point there will be enough evidence for a judge to sign an arrest warrant. I think critical evidence is missing right now are the results of the autopsy, the state's autopsy and the independent autopsy. That's going to be critical information. And that alone, or that in connection with what's already known, may be enough to lead to an arrest or arrest. We do know at this point, low-hanging fruit, there should be an investigation about the underage drinking, who provided the alcohol.
There you go.
Those individuals could be immediately arrested based on if there was any sworn testimony presented to a judge. I believe a judge could immediately sign an arrest warrant for those who provided the alcohol to underage individuals.
There you go.
There's a lot of people and a lot of potential crimes, some misdemeanors and felonies, that people could be held accountable for.
You got to think, because there are some people saying that one of the parents was on the boat. So what would that lead to if one of the parents was on the boat? That parent would be held responsible for giving them kids alcohol.
Was there any boating while intoxicated? Who was the captain of the boat? And what did he allow on his boat? If there were any illegal drugs possessed by anyone. Drugs are still illegal in Mississippi, at least they were when I was on the bench. Drug possession, drug use, selling of drugs, dealing drugs, trafficking drugs. We've heard testimony, or allegations at least. I don't think anything's been put in affidavit format yet about rampant drug use among certain individuals. So there are a lot of things that's been alleged. Once put into the correct format, affidavit-wise, it could lead to arrest for several things, including misdemeanors and maybe even felonies. So there's a lot left to do. We are not rushing to judgment, but I just thought I would come on here and tell you that there definitely should be search warrants issued by now, and there could be arrest warrants for certain crimes issued by now. But for the ultimate crime of murder, it is probably wise to wait to see what the autopsy reveals, or the both autopsies reveal, and then parse that together with all the video footage, all the witness statements taken, any affidavits gathered, and then make a decision, get it all to a judge at that point, for a judge to decide whether or not to sign a warrant for the arrest of one or more individuals.
They should have been confiscated that boat, because what's being said is that they took the boat and hurried up and washed it off. What are they washing off? Now we need forensic files on this thing to get them fluorescent lights to see if there's any blood on that boat. But they're taking too damn long. I don't like this, y'all.
It would be very interesting to see what the autopsy shows. There's also the potential for kidnapping. It needs to be looked at whether or not they can get to murder. Was there kidnapping? Was this young man taken somewhere against his will at any point? Was there abuse of a corpse even after he died? So there's a lot of things that need to be looked at from various law enforcement perspectives. Law enforcement has to do their job and get the information to a judge in the right format before a judge can act. Had I still been on the bench, if I wanted to act, I could not act unilaterally. I would have to wait till law enforcement brought me the evidence in the right format before I could sign an arrest warrant, before I could sign a search warrant. And so that's how the process works. That's how the process works. And so I am happy to be a retired judge. I'm always going to shoot it to you straight with no chaser. Straight with no chaser. I will tell you the God honest truth. I can tell you this one thing. I may have been born at night, but I was not born last night.
There you go. There you go.
And one thing about it, you cannot fool the informed. I've been on the inside. I know the process. And we will not sit quietly and allow this to be swept under the rug. I will call your hand. I will call your hand. You're not going to play these people for a fool.
That's right.
You are not going to play these people for a fool. We know the process. We know what you should be doing. And by God, I plan to make sure you do it. And we're going to call you out each and every time. There is a process. What I do know is, had the roles been reversed, by now, there would likely have been already arrests made.
Yep.
It wouldn't have taken all 6 days, 7 days, whatever the amount of days it's going to take. Had the roles been reversed, the wheels of justice spin quickly. Somebody would have been arrested for something by now. But since the roles are what they are, we are expected to be patient, and they're going to cross every T and they're going to dot every I in the investigation before they make a move because of the people that are potentially involved. And that's the way the criminal justice system works, unfortunately.
It is sad to see that our people still feel comfortable with putting our lives in the hands of people that's been hating us for over 400 years. I'm talking about since the beginning of time, y'all. And the thing that we gonna need to do is we really gonna have to buckle down, share these videos, and keep our foot on the gas. The link will be in the description. I appreciate all my brothers and sisters that's out there using their education for the betterment of their people. And y'all make sure y'all share this video and hype it. Get this out there in the algorithm so people can understand, like, yo, we do have a voice, you know? So justice will be served. Big Kish signing out. I'm going, y'all.